what can I do for my partner who is highly sensitive? And I am not. I have a hard time to understand the size. My husband told me when we left for the break, remember that list of things I said about what you have to do to take care of yourself? He very sweetly said, as he listened to the list, he thought about how he could support me in doing each of those things. We've been married a long time. He's very sweet, but it's also self-protection. He knows that I'm so much easier to get along with when I don't speak too loudly. We have a lot of, there's a lot of conflict that can come up, and I say the conflict gets a lot less after you have grieved the fact that you're different. And I say this very seriously because a sensitive person, non-sensitive person are not going to get the same things from each other. They're not going to get to do all the things that they want to do as a couple because their partner may not want to do that thing. And you have to grieve that because otherwise when you start to deal with the conflicts, you're really still arguing about, I wish you weren't that way. And you have to sort out what a person can change and what a person can't change in terms of their temperament. Many people have told me that their understanding of their temperament differences has saved their marriages. And I believe that. Did you know 42% of the risk of divorce in the United States at least, 42% is genetic. Does that mean there's a divorce gene? Of course not. But it does suggest, and when they went in to look at the traits, they said, well, introversion was a risk factor, extroversion was a risk factor, neuroticism was a risk factor. I think the problem really is the risk factor is of two people having different temperaments, which is a pretty high odds. And so, I always like to say about heritability, when you hear people say something's heritable, it only means there's a correlation, there's association between the gene and the behavior. But I like to say, well, wearing skirts is highly heritable, but there's no skirt gene. It has to do with gender. So something can really have to do with another trait. So I think that the problems in relationships very often are due to temperament. What kinds of things do you argue about? How to spend your time, how to spend your resources. Sensitive people and non-sensitive people are going to differ on how much they want to save money, how much they want to, go to highly stimulating places, how many children to have possibly, how much time to devote to work. Lots of things that people argue about are very often temperament issues.